How we doing, y'all? Just want to say it's always a blessing to be able to talk to you guys, and extremely thrilled for game week. I know Coach Johnson and Dennis Allen are going to have a great game plan for us. They're tremendous coaches, DAs, one of the best defensive minds in this league. And it's going to be, a tough road environment versus a great divisional opponent. And I can't wait to go out there with the guys and be out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Open it up to any questions.
Do you anticipate they'll do? You got to be careful not to think too much. In other words, you start anticipating they'll do this to try because they'll try to show me something they've never seen before. Do you try not to get too caught up in that and seeing ghosts and just see what they've done?
It's a great question, Max. I feel like, everything about the way Coach O'Connell talks about playing the quarterback position is success in the simple. Just following your reads, doing your job in that each individual play, and the rest will take care of itself. You could get overthinking, is it a too high shell? Are they going down to one high? But at the end of the day, if you stick to the reads and, do your job, then it'll be a good outcome for that play.
What is your memory of being at Soldier Field?
Earliest memory was probably, I don't know how old I was, but it was my first game, and I was coming out of the stadium, and I feel like, what are those called? Programs? Yeah, someone was selling the programs, and my dad was like, "Yeah, we got to get one. It's your first game," and that's, the first time I was there, and I think it was against the Vikings, and the Vikings won. So, it was just really cool to be from there. But at the end of the day, it's all about executing football plays and going out there and doing my job.
You try to get your mind at just the moments before you take the field, especially in a game like this.
I just try to be completely present. At the end of the day, there's going to be, anxiousness, excitement, and, a whole lot of adrenaline. But at the end of the day, that's completely normal. And, accepting those emotions, you're able to let go of them a lot quicker than trying to deflect them and avoid them. So, I know I'm going to be amped up, but at the end of the day, I know that, Coach O'Connell is going to put me in a great position, and my teammates around me are going to, do everything they can to make sure we're successful each and every play. But, yeah, it's just stay present, stay calm, and centered.
JJ, one more thing about going home. What was that support like in LaGrange Park growing up, and what do you think it'll be like on Monday night?
The support was amazing. Just being from LaGrange Park, it's really special because, there's not too many guys that, go to the league out of there, and, and really a lot of sports. But just being there and growing up there, I'm really thankful. Thankful for all the family friends down the block, thankful for all the schoolmates and, teachers and everyone who helped shape me to who I am. So a lot of gratitude and grace, but we're ready to go.
What was your reaction when you heard about Adam coming back?
Absolutely thrilled. Just everything that guy's about. He's a leader. He's a technician. He works his absolute butt off. And, at the end of the day, he's probably one of the greatest guys I've ever been around. So just adding that addition to our team is, extremely invaluable, and it does a lot for our room and our offense.
What did it mean to you to be voted a captain?
It meant the world. It's a tremendous honor. Just being on this team, and, KO said it the other day, there's been 27 guys that were voted captain, and that's a record for, where Coach O'Connell's been. And, just because I have a C on my chest, that doesn't change anything. Just because, guys like C.J. Ham don't have a C on their chest, that doesn't change anything. We have so many leaders that, it's an abundant of captains, but you can only choose 8, and it means the absolute world, because at Michigan I wasn't allowed to be one. High school, COVID happened, I was one at IMG, but I wasn't one with my boys, and yeah, it means a lot.
JJ, what are you most proud of kind of over the last calendar year since you got injured?
I would say I'm most proud of just the growth in this offense, and really, hearing a play, seeing it in my mind, and going out there and executing it. And, say we're in a sticky situation, just making it right, not making a bad play worse. But at the end of the day, that comes with chemistry with the guys, chemistry with Coach O'Connell and I. And I feel like, just where we've been growing, we're not even close to hitting our peak, but we're in a really good spot right now.
JJ, in camp, you and Aaron Jones connected a few different times. Just what does it mean to have a running back with the type of hands and ability to catch the football as Aaron does?
He's a special running back. He could really be out there in slot and run routes and catch balls and, make people miss. But he's so intelligent. It takes a lot for a running back to be out there and learn, new formations, new route concepts. And he's handled it so well, and it just speaks dividends to who he is as a person and how he is as a pro.
With all the preparation that you've put in, coming off the injury, going through camp, and now getting this first opportunity to start, how prepared do you feel? How much confidence do you have that you'll be able to go out there and have some success on Monday night?
Extremely prepared, most prepared I've felt in my life. Obviously, we still got to get, third down, red zone, all that stuff in, but I feel like, just talking with, Coach Wentz, Carson, just like he's breaking down, like, when he was going through his first start and when he was playing at Soldier at night, and just like, first games, you never really know what you're going to get. So you could prepare as much as you want, but they could do a completely different thing. So the most important thing is, like I said earlier, just staying, locked into the simple things, locked into what my job is that play, and then reacting to what the defense is giving me. But very prepared and very confident.
Is your ball like Michigan in your first start? Do you remember that? And does it feel the same?
It really doesn't, to be honest with you, Max. I feel like, that was pretty intense. This is very intense as well. But just playing so many big games at Michigan, obviously it's a different level here. But just having those reps of those emotions that you feel and how you handle them and how you manage them. But this one, there's just pure excitement, pure confidence. And, I absolutely can't wait to get on the plane with my boys and get out there. But at the end of the day, we got a lot of work to do before then. So.
Is there anything from last year, watching last year's QB room prepare for games, that you've taken into your own game prep this year?
For sure. Just the way, Sam was able to balance the workload and the recovery mode. I feel like that's something I struggled with. It's always been work, work, work. But, Sam did a really good job of just aligning different things, like his, recovery routine in terms of his shoulder health, his hip health, just not being in the building 24/7. Little things like that I feel like paid dividends down the road because it is such a long season. And, there were a lot of things that I picked up on my own. Just, how am I going to compartmentalize all this information and chunk it into ways that I could go out there and, play free with a clear mind and, play fast.
I'm sure that lots of people have offered different advice to you. Is there any advice that you have taken this week to heart, maybe, or that you've appreciated?
I would say the best advice I received was just go be you. At the end of the day, it's just, the confidence and belief in myself. At the end of the day, that's going to be what is most pivotal and profound for the outcome of my performance. And it's just the belief in myself and belief in my abilities, and the rest will take care of itself.
Last couple for JJ.
JJ, how much will you let yourself enjoy the moment of it being 30 minutes from home, or will you have to kind of just X that out of your mind on Monday?
I feel like home is in Minnesota. So at the end of the day, it's just a business trip. We're going to go down there, execute some football plays, and see what happens.
What are you looking to accomplish with Justin now that he's back fully practicing again?
Just more reps, different routes, just feeling different body languages from a safety or a nickel. And, just the more times I could throw the guy the ball, the better. And, I feel like Coach O'Connell's just had a great plan for, just catching up with that. But, he's the greatest receiver in the world. So just being out there and, putting up a ball in his vicinity makes it easy to have some good chemistry. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Aaron, just from training camp, what did you and Jordan learn kind of about this running scheme this year, and how might it be different from last year?
We got some aggressive guys up front who can really get after it. They can run as well, and we feel like we complement each other very well. We're excited to get after it together, cheer each other on, but also both of us making plays.
Aaron, you talk about that aggressive mindset from the guys up front. What do you remember about that screen pass in training camp with Donovan, and what have you learned about his ability to kind of flip a switch and get mean when the ball snaps?
He has he's great at being able to flip that switch, which is crazy because if you've seen him out off of the field, he's very nice, a very friendly guy, like almost like a gentle giant. But as soon as he steps between those lines, that switch is flipped. That screen pass, we were running about, shoot, I catch it and I don't see anybody out there. It's just me and him. And we're probably about 30, 40 yards down the field now, and a safety appears, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to set up his block. Well, I go to set it up, and he just flattens the guy on his back, and I'm like, well, so much for setting it up. And so I ran out of it, and I look over, and I didn't know it was him. He pancaked somebody else back to back on the same play. I thought it was like BO or somebody because I seen it out the corner of my eye and kept running. But no, it was him. And then right after he waited for me, we celebrated, and then he ran back 50 yards and went and did the next play. So that speaks a lot about him. You don't see most O-linemen running 50 yards down the field and then running back to go get in the huddle. Most of them would be like, all right, I'm out of here.
Just having a chance to be in the huddle with JJ all summer long, is there anything that he has as a trait of other quarterbacks that you've played with? Obviously, Sam had a great year last year, Aaron in the past. Like, is there similar traits between those guys?
Oh, definitely. He's remains calm at all times in the huddle. You'll never, even if he can't hear something, you won't know he can't hear anything. Or he's always calm, cool, and collected in the huddle. He's very good at communicating as well, which is I feel like would separate some quarterbacks as well. Being able to communicate, especially in noisy environments, being able to relay what we're doing. If you're changing the play, if you're changing the protection, we say that if all 11 are on the same page and we're wrong, you technically can't be wrong because all 11 are doing the same thing. So communication is big.
With Jordan here, how do you feel about the possibility of a few less carries, a few less snaps maybe than last season?
I mean, whenever my number's called, I'm ready. I didn't know how many, going into last year, I didn't know how many snaps I would get or if it would be more than I had before or less. I was just going to be ready when my number's called. The same thing is going to be this year. When my number's called, I'll be ready and make the most of every opportunity. But it's just me and Jordan are going to really elevate each other's games. It's going to make you make the most of all your opportunities.
What do you think is the biggest benefit he gives to the offense, Jordan?
I think he's a different style of runner than me, a little bit more of a bruiser, but he does have that home run capability, which I don't think a lot of people give him the respect for it, but he's fast, he can turn it up, and if he gets some daylight, he'll take it to the house.
Have you given JJ any advice this week heading into his first game week?
Yes, it's the same thing you've been doing since you were a kid. You're a winner. Let's keep it going, but our job is to make your job easier. So let us know how we're going to do our job to make your job easier, but if there's any other way we can help, let us know. But no, he's ready for the moment. I'm excited to be able to go out there with him and get to see him start his first game and lead us.
You talk about him being a winner. Kevin was talking about earlier, just like a gamer element to him. Like, how would you define that? I mean, he hasn't. I think he's lost one game since high school or something like that. Like, how would you define that?
So I would define JJ as gamer for sure. He's definitely a gamer. We were playing in a kickball tournament, and just to see him diving for like the balls, and I said, "Oh, this kid's a gamer." Like, when the game's on, he's gonna go out there. He's gonna give that extra effort. He's gonna strain, and he's gonna get the job done. So, like I said, I'm excited for him. We're here to just give him everything he needs, like I said, and be that person in his ear that, hey, if you need to pick me up, we're here to pick you up. Or if you need to tell somebody to tell you good job, we're here to tell you good job as well. So hopefully it's a lot of good jobs.
JJ is doing in terms of just commanding this offense at this point in time?
I think he's doing a great job, especially he had a year to kind of sit back, learn the offense and grow from the outside. And then when he got the chance to take his reps, it's kind of like, all right, I know this offense. Now it's just like, let me get under center and get some of these reps. So, but just to watch him grow, just to how we've been able to expand the offense, just even him noticing things that the defense isn't doing and getting us into the right looks, that's not easy as well. So kudos to him. He's been working his butt off, and then not only what he does like on the field, but in there as well. He's in here every day. He's working on his body. It's not a day that he doesn't come in here. A lot of people don't see that, so he's really been busting his butt, and it's going to pay off.
During the years that you've seen Dennis Allen's defenses around the league, what makes them typically difficult to run the ball against?
Just the big guys up front, getting after it, stunting. They like to crowd the ball, put 5 on the line. So it really takes. They like to take the gaps away, make you kind of run outside to the safeties, funnel it to the safeties, or push you back inside. And then it's just an aggressive style of defense as well, if you ask me.
When it comes to your part in the screen game, I mean, obviously you can do more than that, and you guys hit some big plays, you know, in training camp. What is the key to that, being a good receiving running back? You've been one of the best in the league, and how does that help this offense with, you know, JJ?
Definitely, I think part of it is just it's not just me, it's the unit. You know, we practice it. It's a lot on KO, West, Mod. You know, we practice it. They want us to know our landmarks, where we're going. So it's like almost like a train. It's on its tracks when the play gets going. It's not, okay, where am I supposed to be, or who am I supposed to be kicking out? I'm supposed to be in the split. That's where I'm supposed to catch it and turn up, and that's my alley. But the screen gives gives the backs at least a chance to get the ball in space away from the defense, especially with some of the defenses. Hey, we got a shot at the quarterback, so they're rushing, pinning their ears. It just drops it off. So, but I think it's a full group effort. But and then another part of it's a field thing as well. No screens are all the same. They all hit different. Depends on how the end is rushing, or if you get a blitz by the nickel to your side, you're supposed to kind of bluff him or respect that as well. So all of them are different, but just having a sense of what's going on pre-snap.
Personally, to you when you were named a captain?
It meant everything to me. It's truly an honor. That's what I work for. You know, I lead by example, not more so by words. So it just showed me that my work is paying off, and my teammates see the hard work that I'm putting in, and they also see that I care about them. And so it's definitely something I worked for and put a lot of hours into. So it's funny, every time I bring my son up here, probably 3-4 times a week, and as soon as you walk into this door, they have the picture of the captains up there. And last year, Dad, why aren't you a captain? Dad, how do you get up here, Dad? And it was every time we walk in, and I just told him, you got to be voted by your teammates, and maybe next year. I'm working on it. And so I called him as soon as I found out. And I don't think he quite got it until I brought home the C with the star on it. And he's like, sorry. He's like, oh, you're going to have a picture in there? When I walk in, am I going to see it? So then we walk in yesterday. He's like, Dad, why is your picture still not up there? So I think it means a lot to him, too, just to walk in. And I get to share special moments with him like that. I told him the other day that you get to see me live my dream, and you get to live it with me, so that shows you that you can achieve any dream that you put your mind to. So definitely special.
Aaron, simple question, but Monday night, Soldier Field, division opponent. How excited are you for this game?
It's showtime. Nah, I'm super excited though. It's a rival opponent. You know, both sides always get up for those games, and then at that, it's the season opener Monday night. Nobody else is playing. Primetime game. I think everybody's juices are going to be flowing, both sides, and it'll be a good one. Happy birthday, Dad. Love you.
Good afternoon, everybody. You know, obviously, you put a lot of time and energy into the off-season program, the training camp we were able to have, which was a really positive one. Our team grew a lot, and there was a lot of improvement across the board. But you do it all for game week, which we are now in, and very much looking forward to continuing our preparation that's already started, but continuing that as we get some really good days of work this week. You know, going to be a challenge. Expecting great energy, you know, and excitement for the home team there, an NFC North game to kick off the season, and the most competitive division in football. Every team feels really good about their organization and where they're at, and every time these teams play, including Monday night, it's you know, it's going to be, you know, a competition at, you know, at the highest levels of our league, I think. So we've got to prepare our team to go on the road and try to find a way to win a football game against a really good team. Just finished up walkthrough. Everybody participated in the walkthrough outside of. Harrison Smith participated in the walkthrough. He will not practice today, but the hope is we can ramp him up. He's back in the building and meetings and building up his workload for the week. So we'll see where he's at throughout the remainder of the week. But with that, I'll turn it to you guys.
Kevin, how do you prepare a quarterback to face what JJ is going to see Monday? Primetime game, his hometown, first time rolling out there as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, those are a lot of things that, don't really necessarily have to do with him doing his job. We've tried to build a world where running the offense and playing quarterback is a collection of really small things. Some would even consider them routine things. And can we do the routine things routinely? And then as the clear, obviously it's different than, the Egan practice fields here, or anything he's experienced, at least in the NFL. I think he's got a lot of really good experience, at the collegiate level in front of 100,000+ people. But it's still Monday Night Football. Everything you said, all of that, we don't just start talking about playing quarterback in the NFL this week. For him, it's about doing a lot of the things that make up playing quarterback for us in our offense, with the guys in the huddle with him who were really excited about that group, and then just locking in on the nuances and subtleties of the game plan, that hopefully by Monday night we can make them as routine as possible. Then the ball gets kicked off, and he knows he's definitely not going to be alone out there from a standpoint of the coaching staff and myself, right there with him. Maybe me too much sometimes in his ear via the coach to quarterback system. But I know those 10 guys in the huddle, regardless of who's in the game, those guys are excited for number 9 to come in and call that first play.
Kevin, what did you see during training camp from the running game and just how much different that might look with Jordan and Aaron as a duo?
Yeah, I think it starts with the guys up front and J.O. and TJ and Ben, and just the way we were able to, against a pretty physical front with the additions we made on the defensive line, really feel like we were starting to understand the why and the what behind what we want to do. But then ultimately it's a fundamentals, technique, and play style thing to want to win the line of scrimmage and move people, and then you've got to have above the neck, you got to understand good NFL defenses, which any defense that Dennis Allen coaches is going to be a really good one, schematically challenging to go against. So we've got to be able to play pre-snap the right way, communicate, and then be ready to play with the right footwork, great first step, hand usage, all the little details that very similar to kind of what we talked about with JJ. Each guy has their own job within plays, and our run game throughout training camp really felt like we were really starting to grasp that. I think even on some days where maybe, from the outside looking in or in that comfortable 10 up on the hill, it might have been more about a lot of the things involving JJ, but, on a daily basis, I was seeing some really good things in the run game as we built up, and now we've got to go do it for real. And against a, super talented front, they added some pieces. They've always been a really hard front to run the ball against, just because of not only personnel on the front, 2 really good linebackers, safeties that love getting involved in the fit, and corners that know how to tackle as well. So, from a standpoint of the personnel, then you throw in, a guy as experienced as Dennis Allen is, running a scheme, practicing against a really good offense every day. They're going to be prepared, and we're going to have to play well to move the football for sure.
When you throw all that in there, when you have rookie offensive lineman, Monday Night Football, Dennis Allen defense, what's the conversation like with Donovan Jackson this week of coaching points, just to make sure he's ready to take all that on?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things, when I think about it. One of the reasons it's been so seamless for him is the transition from when he first got here to his first reps in training camp, and then the days that followed of constant improvement, rep over rep improvement, sometimes in the same period, in the same drill. He might get beat on something or be more over-aggressive, and a veteran player like John Allen or Hargrave uses that against him, and kind of, he learns, how to improve many times without having to go upstairs, watch the tape, and have a fundamentals and indie period to fix it. And that's what is really encouraging. I also think it's encouraging the guy he's playing next to, Ryan Kelly, and just the steadiness that he brings across the board for all the young players that are in the huddle with him.
Did you see what you needed to see from Christian Darrisaw throughout this course of training camp and in the past couple of weeks to feel like he's in a good spot?
Yeah, I know he's he had a great camp, checked every box from a workload standpoint building into this week. He'll practice today, and we've always with CD, just with how committed he's been to taking the daily approach, we've done the same with him. So we're, going to progress as forward and be smart, but we're going to give him every opportunity to practice and then see how he feels, and then ultimately, in regards to his availability, we'll make that decision as the week progresses.
Kevin, how do you feel these days about the third emergency quarterback designation, and
Yep.
do you feel it can continue to be useful to you this season?
I think it's a really good thing we did, as a league, and I think Max is the perfect example of the guy that, although he's maybe the third guy and can only play under certain circumstances, he's in the building yesterday with JJ, and they're going through the game plans as they're being kind of finalized, and we're presenting them with information that they can go then take on their own and kind of get a head start before we can have them today. And then knowing just a lot of the things that Max did throughout training camp with limited reps, in case that's why they call it the emergency. If it was a situation like that, I can tell you right now I would have a lot of confidence that Max could go in and do the things required to move the team. And that's why our quarterback room looks the way it does. That's why Max clearly earned the right to be a guy on our 53 we're really excited about.
How have you felt about Carson Wentz kind of just getting caught up to speed on the offense and the time he's had?
Yeah, it's been impressive. I knew how smart he was. I knew there would be some kind of connection points for him with some of the places he's been, specifically LA. But then also just his year in Kansas City with Pat and Coach Reed there. He's just been coached really well, and he's a smart guy. And then when you apply just learning new things, the beauty of it is, like before when we've had guys come in, in a short amount of time, there's a game plan. There is a certain amount of things we're asking our guys to do. We want to have a menu. We've got some things that are kind of, quote unquote, always in every phase of our offense. And you make sure that he knows those things. And then just like everybody else, just with a little less, kind of time on task, he's learning the game plan as we go. And I think that's one of the things that made Carson so intriguing was the idea of he's smart, he's experienced, he's played at a really high level in this league. Specifically, you're thinking about Monday Night Football. Like he's played in Monday Night Football plenty of times and had some of his best games. I remember a couple against me when I was coaching in Washington. But the thing about it is the comfort level that he gives everyone with his poise at which he's able to learn and absorb the information. And then ultimately it's about figuring out the things as we do through the process every week with all of the quarterbacks, even Max, hey, what plays do you like? What plays do you maybe scratch your head out a little bit? And which ones do you want to feature if you were to go in the game? And it's my experience with it is normally it's a lot of those plays are the same plays. Then I get the red pen out and they go to the graveyard to be back next week or in 3 weeks with a new name and a new formation that hopefully they don't remember. But that's the honest truth there.
Kevin, what do you expect from Dallas Turner in 2025?
Yeah, I think he's been one of those guys that I know I've tried to talk about a lot throughout the offseason, not only with you guys but with our team even of the improvement, the comfort level. His natural physical ability is clearly easy to see every single day. Jonathan Grenard and I talk about it all the time, just how physically talented he is. And now he's got time in the system. He's got really some great reps logged, from last year where he can build on that into the offseason program, into training camp. He's been a guy that time and time again has shown up. So we really do feel very fortunate to have that 3-starter feel to that edge position with those 3 guys.
Kevin, this will be the first game that you've coached without C.J. Ham. I mean, what kind of adjustment is that on offense, special teams, and just throughout?
Yeah, I mean, it's CJ's been such a rock for our organization for so long before I was fortunate enough to be here. The best thing about CJ in this time is if you're not on the practice field, seeing the fact that he's not practicing, you would never know that he's not out there. How he is in meetings, I mean, even today, during when we're talking about plays and installing things, he's voicing some things to the other running backs, to maybe the tight ends, and then he is clearly a player that his teammates look to give them confidence, to solidify what we're all about as an organization, and I can't wait to get him back, and he's on the road to coming back healthy, 100%, and helping us sooner rather than later.
If you look at the records of the teams that JJ has been on going back to high school, I mean, they've won almost all of their games. And, I know there's a lot of things that always go into that, but what do you think it is about him what part do you think he plays in that kind of extended success, whether it's his personality traits or just the way he plays or the way he is or just happen to be on a lot of great teams?
Yeah, I would not discount the fact that a lot of the times when, JJ, whatever team he's been on, tends to be a good version of himself on game day. And there's a lot of guys that are talented. There's a lot of guys that can, light up the practice field every day. But the guys that can either take it to the game or maybe even be a better version of themselves in the game, have those, the gamer, whatever tag you want to put on it. I think he's got that trait. I think it's important he doesn't just solely rely on that trait showing up to Soldier Field. I think he pairs that with the work that he puts in throughout the week so that he's comfortable. And then, it's going to be his first start, in the NFL. I'm very much aware of that. He's aware of that. We're all aware of that. But that doesn't mean we put a ceiling over him. And at the same time, that doesn't mean because of all that success throughout his football journey, we raise the floor either. I want him focusing on the little details of doing his job against a really good defense. We're going to make some plays. They're going to make some plays. The ebbs and flows of the game. It's just, on to the next snap and start banking some of this experience and using it for your benefit moving forward.
Kevin, is Darisaw 100%? Does he look like he was before the injury?
Yeah, he looks really good. He's consistently, I think he's surprised even himself early on in training camp as we began that kind of really crafted plan by Tyler and the doctors and Christian himself. I think in the moment he has, had some really, really good progression days where we've been able to stack it up. And we're in game week now, and he's going to take a lot of reps today, if not all of them. And then we'll see how he feels, and we'll see ultimately Christian's such an important player to our team that we want to make sure that we're smart about the plan. But also, I think he's earned the right to, by all the things he's done, Mark, that there's no reason to make the decision for any other reason than what's best for CD, and he's going to be heavily involved in that.
So evaluating, like you said to Kevin's question, it's just a matter, he's getting more reps in practice, and you have to be
I think reps are fine. It's more so just about knowing we've got 17 games, including a short week next week, and then ultimately, our trip overseas. Like, there's got to be a big picture mindset to a player of Christian's caliber where this game, all that matters is this game to the Minnesota Vikings Monday night in Chicago. But, so our jobs are to make sure we're doing what's best for the team for the greater duration of 17-plus games. And what that means for Monday night, I don't know as of right now. I just know what my eyes have shown me, what Christian's demonstrated, have given us through a really calculated plan a good possibility of Monday night.
Is there anything you've gleaned from the rebuild of your interior offensive and defensive line that helps prepare for another team that did quite a bit of work on both those sides?
Yeah, I think the one thing we've seen is we had a lot of really good work, competitive work against each other, and that's not just in the competitive 11-on-11s. That's doing crossover work with each other. That's working one-on-one pass rush every day. That's working the inside run drill. That's, seeing the physicality and the play style of those guys come to life while me emphasizing it to our whole team on a daily basis has been fun to see guys that we really targeted for purposeful reasons. And then the best part's been just seeing it come together. But we haven't seen that whole group out there on either side yet. This season, even in the preseason, we saw it a little bit in the joint practices and liked what we saw, but this is going to be real football, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Last one.
Kevin, what's the sense you get on how eager Justin is to kind of get back rolling after missing so much time?
Yeah, he's had, speaking specifically to the last few days and week and a half or so, he's had some great work, and what I love the best about where he's at right now is I think he really capitalized on that time. It wasn't just in recovery mode and getting back to a certain baseline. He elevated that baseline by getting stronger, by really focusing in on some of the things that would allow him to have a fast transition back, and that's what he's done. I don't want to speak for him, but conversations that him and I have had have been very positive about how he feels. And then also, he's one of our more experienced players in the system, since we arrived here, and so much of it is about Justin and where he aligns and how that affects everybody else and how it affects the other 11 on the other side as well, which gives us, confidence. Week one a lot of times is about, it's a lot of times it's fundamentals over scheme. It's play style over scheme because of the unscouted looks. Specifically to Justin, every week feels to me, whether we've scouted or not, which we tend to try to do, there's unscouted looks. And we know that, we've seen that, and we've experienced that. So I think Justin at this point, just feels great about being back out there with his teammates full and running and moving and catching the way he's been. It's been really encouraging.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.